Hello, everyone, and welcome to August 5th, 2024 field tuning container for the month of August in 2024. I want to thank everyone who is here live, contributing your presence and awareness and your good time to this container. And if you're listening asynchronously, thank you. I appreciate it. You'll probably see a link at the bottom of this episode with information on how you can join these live or join field tuning as a live container. Let me roll this window up because an airplane is flying over. And yeah, field tuning is basically me, Intrepid Bodies, my monthly divination container. It used to be a weekly thing, but I switched to monthly and I really like it. So yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. Basically, I just like kind of forecast from like an oracular perspective what the month ahead will have for us. I know that also, I don't know why I'm saying this. I know that a lot of readers include like the planetary transits. And for some reason, I've been trying to integrate that into my readings, but it doesn't happen. So, yeah, I am yeah, I guess I will say it's like interesting to like tune into field tuning or do field tuning and then find out after the fact that the planets are doing their thing. And so, yeah, I guess I don't know why I brought that up, but that just felt important to say. Yeah, and so today the style of the reading is basically gonna be I'm gonna pull um, some cards from the Goddess Tarot by Kris Waldherr for each group. And then I'll also pull an oracle card from the Beyond Lumeria Oracle deck by Miss Izzy Ivy. Actually, I don't know if she uses Miss, but Izzy Ivy. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm also working with some crystals today. I have clear quartz and I have lapis lazuli. Um, so yeah, thank y'all again for being here. So let's see for group one. For group one, thank you so much, Spirit, for this container, for the collaborative affect of all factors that are contributing to this container. And I would like to ask messages, forecast, notes, breadcrumbs, guidance, reassurance, and integrative messages for group one. Group one. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Any other card, Spirit, for group one? Any other cards? Also, hi, Nadia. Welcome. There we go. Beautiful. And I'm going to pull an oracle card for group one. I'll say I already love the cards that are coming out for y'all, group one. It's a couple of reversals, but they feel kind of positive in general. Beautiful. So I will take photos of the cards and share them with y'all in the chat. And then, yeah, I love to discuss with you guys. The tea. So I'll read out the cards as I take a photo. The first card is the Five of Staves in reverse. The next card is the Wawalak card, representing oppression in reverse. The next card after that is the Lakshmi card, upright, representing fortune. And the last card for group one, and from this particular spread, is the Prince of Cups, upright. Some really juicy stuff is already kind of flowing through my channel, so I'm looking forward to talking through this with y'all. The oracle card that we have here is 51, the sound of the universe. So, yeah, I'll share these photos. So, group one, really interesting sort of start to August for you all. I'll say for some of us, because I feel like some of these cards are like deeply, or spreads are deeply relatable. But before I get into like my divination of them, I'm going to kind of read what each card is about. And so we have the Five of Staves. The Five of Staves represents different aspects of the same woman fight against each other. The broiling sun heats their tempers, making it difficult to distinguish what they're really fighting for. When this card is upright, it represents conflict for the sake of conflict, ego-oriented competition, losing sight of what's important because of petty disagreements. When it's reversed, this card represents the work of moving beyond pettiness to realize what's important, unifying forces. Oh, I just got chills. And overcoming obstacles. Ashe. And so I do feel like, yeah, let me read what each card is about and then I'll give my reading. Okay. So the next card, the Wawala. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm going to read what this card is about. Yeah, Australia represent. Let's see. Okay. Oppression, the Wawala. During the dream time, Australian Aboriginal sister goddesses, the Walwalak, were swallowed whole by Yurlungur, the great rainbow serpent. Oppressed by darkness in the belly of the serpent, the Walwalak wept until they were reborn from Yurlungur back into the light. When this card is upright, it means feeling overwhelmed, oppressed by circumstances or emotions. Like the Walwalak, the quote, light has left your life. You are waiting to be released from the darkness. When this card is reversed, it represents, it says, though your situation may feel overwhelming and intimidating, hidden forces are at work to transform things for the better. Be patient. Wow. So super interesting kind of like energies. I'm curious if y'all are picking up anything from the interplay between the Five of Staves and the Wawalak, the oppression card. And y'all can feel free to unmute if you'd like or type in the chat and I'd happily read what y'all share out loud. Mm. Nobu says in the chat, sounds about right in terms of how I'm pronouncing it. Thanks for affirming, dude. He says, in my experience, the Latinization of the way indigenous words sound is pretty wacky. Yeah. And I think the first time I saw this card, that was like my experience where I was like, for some reason, Wawalak does not sound like Wawalak to me. But that's probably because of, yeah, the different languages that I speak. But yeah, I'm curious what's coming up for y'all. Yeah. And Nobu also says, I'm not getting group one for me, but it feels interesting in my channel. Yeah, thanks for reflecting. I'm going to read what Nadia said. Nadia says, feels like there's a bit of a liberation period / unwinding from things that feel like a hindrance to bringing things through publicly somehow. I don't know how to summarize this. That's well said. Yeah. I like also the like liberation and unwinding feels, especially because these cards are like in reverse. That feels really aligned for me. It's interesting too that you're picking up something about public as well. Because I'm like, it feels like for group one, the vibe switches completely regarding like the next two cards. So yeah. And Nobu asks, is anyone feeling like group one is for them? Great question. I'm curious as well. Lexi says, demons attacking sisterhood no more. Let's go. She says, I missed the Wawalok paragraph, but reverse five stays is in line with my goals over the past couple days. Ooh, good to know. Mm. Okay, thanks for reflecting, y'all. I'm going to read what the Lakshmi card is about. And yeah, then kind of pull it all together based on what y'all are saying. Oh, thank you, Nobu. Nobu's saying he's humming and chanting a little. Shukran. And so the next card for group one is the fortune card associated with Lakshmi. The Hindu goddess of fortune and prosperity, Lakshmi is believed to be attracted to sparkling jewels, which are like the riches she bestows upon her favored worshippers. The meaning of this card when it's upright, which it is that the generosity of the universe, the ability to be open to abundance, positive expectations, awareness of beauty, and love. Shay. Definite like vibe switch for group one. Um, but yeah, let me read the Prince of Cups and kind of tie this all together. So the Suit of Cups represents the path of Venus. The element is connected to water and represented by the celestial body that is the moon. And in the major arcana, it corresponds to love. And the card 6, the Prince of Cups, reads the Prince of Cups, a gentle boy, prefers a cup, not prefers, but like Proffers, which I'm using my context clues. I think that means like he's been given a cup. Anyway, the Prince of Cups, a gentle boy, prefers a cup. The water within it is a magical potion. It can invite love, passion, creativity, or intuition into life. The meaning of this card, when it's upright, is an invitation or an offer. Young children who, with their gentleness, allow one to experience innocence anew. And that's what that card means when it's upright. So for group one, I do kind of get this. I'm laughing at what Tiff said in the chat. For group one, I kind of, as I tie these and weave these different cards together, what I get a sense of is that the month of August, for those who resonate with group one, is going to kind of bring up or bring to surface, I should say, the reality of like hardship, right? I'm also hearing the turn of phrase, like hindsight is 2020 right now. And I feel like it's in relation to some folks in group one who might kind of have just, I'd say, like kind of gotten their head above water regarding some really difficult sort of, I'd say, like karmic circumstances. And I think that the Five of Staves and the Wawala card represents just I want to say, like the difficulty of surmounting such obstacles in the ways that it's probably pushed your character. Group one, it seems like that's kind of coming to an end, or that on some level, the work that you've done with your ancestors, the work that you've done with the earth, and understanding like your relationship in the cosmos has sort of culminated to what I would call a turn of fate um, for some of y'all. And I also feel like this sense of victory and uh, triumph over internal obstacles that have also maybe been underneath the surface for group one and folks who resonate with group one. And it seems like some of this hardship is kind of coming to a close, and the metaphoric, right, like silver lining is sort of starting to crest over the horizon. And I guess for me, what's also coming up is how jarring it can be to kind of experience such a turn of fate. And group one, like the thoughts that you might experience or the things that you might be releasing may also reveal to you just how like daunting those circumstances are. But It also feels like with the fortune card and the Prince of Cups, the wisdom that's been gained. And that kind of sounds like, oh yeah, like trite, like the wisdom that's been gained is like now you're gonna like run to the mountaintop. And it's like it sounds kind of trite, but honestly, that's what it kind of feels like, especially with this image of like Lakshmi and her lover um, flying on this green bird. It feels like this card represents the triumphant sort of overcoming of intense trial by like fire. Um, and I think that what happens for some folks in group one is represented, or like sort of the distillation of that process for folks who resonate with group one, I think is really beautifully represented by the Prince of Cups here, because the Prince of Cups is sort of working with his own, I'll say like alchemical chalice. And so like what I mean by that is that after this distillation process for folks who resonate with group one, we may have like kind of seen what we're really made out of. And now we're kind of preferring this cup to like represent the magic that we've walked away with, the wisdom, um, the mana is kind of like what's coming up for me too in relation to group one. Um, and so some of this stuff, right? Like some of these energies in August, I feel like are going to kind of may offer an opportunity um for folks who resonate with, sorry, I'm kind of just like getting something in my channel too to like expand on the Prince of Cups. Um, especially as it relates to this like restoration of like innocence, restoration of like um a sense of I don't want to say joy, but I guess like innocence. Yeah, innocence keeps sort of coming up for me. And I think the Prince of Cups represents like in a way the slate of hardship being cleaned so that things like the beauty and the like simplicity that may be on the other side of this hardship, like you'll for folks who resonate with this, like you might be able to see it more clearly and just have more room available for those sort of things to like take up space in your awareness. And I also want to speak to like just the reality of that like alchemical process for those who are resonating with group one, because I'm like it's not easy to sort of overcome hardship in a particular way. Um, and I don't want to just make it seem like, yeah, like the universe just turns around and gives us everything we want after we like struggle well. But I do think that there's something to that. Um, yeah, and that feels important to say for group one. I'm just reading the comments. Oh, I'm gonna read this out loud, Tiff. Tiff says, definitely a vibe for me. The other day, I said a prayer asking for patience so I can stop losing my temper in certain situations. Ashe. And before I could finish my sentence, the download hit, quote, stop snapping and you will find the patience. And for the first time, I was just like, okay, let's try it out. So this week has been annoying, but I'm finally doing better at handling it. Ashe. Yeah, Tiff, thanks for saying that. I think also for me, I've realized this week that like my temper is it. Like that's the one for me. Like the thing that I need to kind of like um reconcile. So I'm really happy that you spoke to that. Nobu says, ooh, that's been in the fields collectively, I feel. I agree. Yeah. Nadia says, ooh, restoration of innocence. I'm just kind of scrolling up in the chat. Nobu says, I'm never going to hear preferring the same way again. Nadia also says, I like to be open to feeling resonant with the other groups too. Understood. Absolutely. Yes, Nadia also says this group is Def's feeling pretty resonant to me. Thanks for sharing. Nobu says, that's nice, group one. Y'all get to leave early. Ooh, I love that. Nobu shares the etymology of profero, which is Latin, and it comes from pro, in front of, and fero, carry and bear. Dang, I'm dancing because I'm like, I knew it. Yeah, it's even in the way that the Prince of Cups is also kind of like holding the cup too. So context clues for the win. I'm also going to read a little bit from the Sound of the Universe Oracle card before I move on to group two, just to share the divinatory meaning of this card for group one. Um, Honestly, I might just skim and scam it because I've definitely pulled this card before and it feels like the downloads. It feels like a sense of group one. You might kind of start to feel this like the way that the card is pictured shows like a person's head, um, like a Merkaba at their throat, and then all these sort of stars and like artistic renditions of like what I think is like celestial energy kind of pouring into that person's like head space or crown space. And so it feels like the viscerality of the photo really speaks to like the potential resting in this month for group one that um the things that will or like how do I want to say this? The guidance that you're looking for, I think, is also in group one is going to rest in like kind of surrendering, of course, in ways that feel authentic to you, surrendering to the quite literal call of the universe, which, yeah, it might be more like it's interesting because right now I'm like hearing that like that voice might be more benevolent for some of y'all than you may have expected it to be. So stay tuned. Um, But yes, so I'm going to read just the keywords for the card, The Sound of the Universe. Dang, okay, it says life changing experiences, glimpsing the great mystery. No big deal, right? Significant timing, pivotal moments, the Sri Yantra, the quote, tuning fork of universal consciousness, music, and transcending mundane reality. And so the divinatory meaning here is the reminder that having our world shaken up even a little can invite a deeper glimpse of the great mystery into our lives. There are myriad ways to peek behind the veil of the mundane world: ecstatic dance, spiritual exploration, intuitive creative pursuits are just a few. This card reminds us to aim naturally, to imbue this awareness into our everyday existence so that we can avoid the quote, sudden wake up calls. Wow, that's huge. That's been coming up in almost every single one of my conversations this month, and we're only 5 days into it. So I'm going to read that again. Aim to naturally imbue this awareness in your everyday existence so you can avoid the sudden wake up calls. Wake up to the hidden music, harmony, and wonder of your multidimensional world. Wow. Wow. Anna says, oh, in the chat. Anna also says, love a sudden wake up call though. And it's not to say like this will be without its surprises, but I do get the sense that group one is like gonna be surprised in ways that help them prefer their suffering with a little bit more grace, if that makes sense. But I feel you. Nadia says hidden music. Love that. Nadia also says the activity at the throat also feels like sharing. Again, the public aspect is coming through for me. Ooh, ooh, interesting. That's super interesting, Nadia. Hmm. I'm okay. I'll pull one more clarifying card for group one. Okay, let's see. Spirit, is there any other message or kind of closing notes that you have for group one? Ah, okay. Ah, ah, two cards came out, and I'm going to share them in the chat. The two cards that came out, the first one is the Two of Swords. And don't mind my finger, y'all. I have some like busted henna on my hands. The second card that came out is Saraswati, representing wisdom. So there is something here about, oh, it's so interesting. Because, yeah, I can definitely sense what you're saying, Nadia, about like public and sort of like, I wonder if the word transparency aligns. Um, but I'm going to also read what the Two of Swords and the Saraswati wisdom card represents in this context. Oh, it's so interesting because I feel like the energy just changed for group one in a good way, I guess you could say. Actually, I don't know. So we're gonna find out. Let's see. Okay. So the suit of swords represents the path of Isis. Um, the suit of swords represents the element air and salt and corresponds to magic. So this Two of Swords reads, an impasse is met. The woman has blindfolded herself so she can better look within. Surrounded by lotuses, water flows behind her, symbolizing the confusing emotions she has rejected for now. The meaning of this card when it's upright is a peaceful truce, balanced, attained, but eventually issues will have to be. Oh, balance is attained, but eventually issues will have to be confronted. Interesting. Woman has blindfolded herself so she can better look within. Yes, I feel like this speaks to like that kind of process of like, okay, if I had some sort of like notes of wisdom for group one on like what to do, I guess you could say, quote unquote, or what to focus on for the month of August, I feel like the Two of Swords and the Saraswati card are speaking to that. So yeah, the Two of Swords to me represents trust and trusting, gosh, to me like the unseen in a way. Um, and then also what's coming through for me right now, I guess in like relation to the Two of Swords is sort of the protective stance that the woman has taken with the two swords. Um, gosh, there's so much coming up right now. Let me read the Saraswati card and then I'll divine them together and weave from there. Okay, wisdom, Saraswati. Sarasvati, the Hindu goddess of knowledge and culture, is the embodiment of true wisdom. Sitting upon her lotus throne, she symbolizes spiritual knowledge as well as the refinement of the arts. The meaning of this card when it's upright is an interest in spiritual knowledge, a teacher who will share with you what you seek, or perhaps you are that teacher. Ooh. I'm gonna read that again. Saraswati represents an interest in spiritual knowledge, a teacher who will share with you what you seek, or perhaps you are that teacher. Wisdom gained in a graceful manner. Yeah. Yes, I feel like what's coming through for me right now in terms of how group one is going to sort of integrate the things that come through for them this month as in a sense of like what they're revealed about themselves. I don't know how I'm trying to say that, but I guess the wisdom that group one ends up like walking away with, I think ends up putting some of us in like a state of like surrendered trust. And that in and of itself, like the act of surrendering, may very well be triggering to some of us. And for group one, it feels like the spread is sort of like saying like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're coming from a five of staves and an oppression card in reverse. So it seems like the culmination of this month for group one is going to be seeking the medicine within yourself, recognizing that, you know, that age old adage that you are your own guru is like real deal holy field and not just like a turn of phrase. And that sometimes like, I guess what's coming up for me right now too is group one, like sometimes like when we're pushed through hardship, like the um the reflex to kind of like collapse within oneself and become small might become very apparent to you. this month, and that's okay because the Two of Swords and the Saraswati card is also saying that you have enough wisdom cultivated within to navigate the confusion and the upswing of realizing where you were, and also like trying as best as you can to be present with where you are now. And that might look like, I feel like for group one, it's kind of like a little bit about breaking out to go within, which feels contradictory. Um, but yeah, I hope that that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read the chat now. Mhm. Yeah, there's a throat chakra activation. Um, yes, I'm just reading the chat. Definitely. No, who says surrender is not often associated with good stuff in the collective memory of humanity. Absolutely. And I could feel that sense of like pain as I was kind of like talking about it, like coming up even in my field where it's like super difficult to just kind of like let go and let God, because people use that to like spiritually bypass the very real circumstances that are like in front of them. And that's not what this is. I don't think that group one, the guidance is to go there. So I think that I do want to kind of further contextualize the type of surrender is like surrendering your sense of perceived power and going within to understand your actual power. And don't ask me how I know, child. I'm just saying, I've walked through that fire. Um, oh, yes. Okay, group one, thank you so much, y'all. It feels like also, yes, air elements. I'm also getting a sense of making a water altar for group one. Um, maybe a little water with salt in it underneath your bed. Um, it's very specific, but I've done that ritual before to sort of clean up my astral like containers. So just a little tip, just a little tip. So yeah, okay, group one. I'm gonna move on to group two now. Thank y'all so much for your patience. Of course. All right, spirit. We got group two in the house. We know the guidance, breadcrumbs, wisdom, reflection points. Mm. Any guidance for group two, spirit. Thank you so much. Mhm. All right, group two. Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right, spirit. Any other cards for group two? I guess I'll read out. No, hold on. Let me finish this card and then I'll read it out. I be getting excited. I be getting ahead of myself. Ooh, let's go. Let's go, group two. Ah, Shay. Okay. Okay, group two. All right, let me get these photos and get these into the chat for y'all. This is really juicy. So the first card that came out for group two is the Princess of Pentacles. The next card that came out for group two is the Ace of Cups. The card following that is the Five of Cups in reverse. And then the last two cards that came out, one of them is the Movement card, represented by the Fair Maiden and Goddess Rhiannon. And the last card is the Ten of Staves. So let me send these to y'all in the chat and pull an oracle card. Really juicy stuff here. I'm laughing in the chat. Oh my god. Ashe. And the oracle card that came out for group 2 is balanced 19 balanced forces. Balanced forces. So let's read what these cards are about. Let's clock the T and let's see what's good for group 2. Make sure I can see my cards here. I know what I'm reading. Okay. So the suit of pentacles is represented by the path of Lakshmi. The element is earth and gold. This suit represents or corresponds to fortune and the major arcana 10. I have no idea what that means, but okay, let's go to the princess. Somebody's getting princess treatment in group 2. Her. Okay. Sorry, y'all. So we have the Princess of Pentacles. It reads, the Princess of Pentacles, seductive and sweetly perfumed. The Princess of Pentacles offers all of life's bounties. To possess them, though, desire is not enough. Constructive action must be taken. The meaning of this card is the ability to create opportunities for growth and beauty. A woman who personifies these forces and the ability to work hard to create prosperity. Okay, group 2. Y'all are in your bag. I'm going to read the Ace of Cups next. And again, the Cups suit is represented by the path of Venus and the water element. And the Ace of Cups here reads, here the full moon is contained but not captured within a golden cup surrounded by the ocean, source of all life. The meaning of this card, great emotional satisfaction, beginning of a new important relationship, and receptivity to creative inspiration. I'm just laughing at the chat. We have the Five of Cups in reverse. So the Five of Cups says, 3 cups have tipped over, spilling their magical water, but not all is lost. 2 cups are still full. When this card is in reverse, it says a growing awareness that relationships are what you make of them. 3 cups have tipped over, spilling their magical water, but not all is lost. 2 cups are still full. And it represents in reverse a growing awareness that relationships are what you make them. Interesting. I'm being called to read the upright of this card, so I'm going to do that. So 5 of Cups upright in this particular deck represents disappointment with intimate relationships, disillusionment, sadness, concentrating on problems instead of assets, and a desire to move on. And so it's interesting because I feel like, I felt called to read that because I think the reverse is the other polarity of that, like recognizing that it feels kind of mundane though. I do also get the sense that the 5 of Cups here represents like an end of emotional turmoil and like an end of like kind of like closing the chapter on like holding a perspective where you're seeing the glasses that are like not filled. And I get the sense of like this card in reverse represents like a deeper appreciation for what one has. And I think that from that place, like from that sense of like humility, people can start to like not only understand that their relationships and like their environment is like, and how they see it as part and parcel of like their internal temperature. I think for me, what's at least is coming through from more like, I guess, complex perspective is like this 5 of Cups talks about, yeah, just kind of a change in perspective about what emotional fulfillment looks like and being ready to like act on that. Um, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's move on to the next card. Which order did I do it? Did I do the Rhiannon card? And okay, so it was Rhiannon and then the Ten of Spades. Okay, so let's talk about Rhiannon. I wonder if I'm saying that correctly as well. I hope I am. Where's she at? Where's she at? Where's she at, girl? Is she even in here? Where is she? Oh, here she goes. Hey. All right. Movement represented by Rhiannon. The British horse goddess Rhiannon is believed to appear to her followers while riding an unearthly white horse. Bro, wait a minute. Sorry. That's pretty cool. It just syncs up with stuff for me. So I'll read that again. The British horse goddess Rhiannon is believed to appear to her followers while riding an unearthly white horse. In this way, Rhiannon symbolizes the unceasing force of movement, which pulls all of life along with it. The meaning of this card: movement into the next phase of life. If you are feeling impatient, don't worry, transitions will go smoothly. Okay, career advancement and good timing. Ashe. Yeah, that feels really connected too to what I guess what I was picking up on from the Five of Cups. So yeah, that's awesome. If you're feeling impatient, don't worry, transitions will go smoothly. Career advancement, which I think relates to the Princess of Pentacles as well. I wanted to read what Anna said here. Anna said, I seen a white horse a couple weeks ago swimming. Wow. Wow, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, dude, it's so interesting because my dad was talking to me last night and he was telling me that like on back in the day, like in the olden days, that his family had a white horse like on their farm. And I was like, literally, like when he told me that yesterday, I like turned around in slow motion. I'm like, so a pony. And he was like, no, it was a white horse. I'm like, okay, so a pony, cool, got it. You know who says, Hoda's dad, unofficial tender of the broom. Ashe. I'm telling y'all, he's dying to get on a podcast episode. So, oh wow. Nadia says, I saw a white horse on TV last night and clocked it strongly. Granted, it was on the TV though. Yeah, no, thanks for saying that. Ashe. Lexi says, maybe Hania is triumphant in Alpha Centauri. Please say more. Please say more. I'm picking up what you're putting down though, just so you know. Nobu says, no, a pony is a horse with ribbon in its mane. Let me have it, guys. Let me have it, okay? A girl can dream. Yes. No, this is super cool. Okay, let me read the Ten of Staves and then we'll do some weaving. Though I'm pretty sure group 2, you kind of get a sense of where this is going. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. So the staves, where you at? Right here. Okay. The suit of staves represents the path of Freya. Oh, snap. The elements fire and the sun, and it corresponds to power. Oh, I just got chills in my legs. So we have the Ten of Staves. The Ten of Staves, rich with green leaves and life, radiate from the sun. They are extensions of the sun's life-giving force. The meaning: the culmination of the creative venture begun with the One of Staves, representing now success that becomes overwhelming with its responsibility. Interesting. It doesn't seem that overwhelming is a negative connotation here, because in reverse, it represents being overwhelmed and burdened. But it seems like the Ten of Staves represents like the sprouting of seeds that were kind of planted in the Ace of Staves. And so the Ace of Staves here, just for reference, represents the beginning of a focused creative period. And then it feels like, yeah, the Ten of Staves is like this culmination of like, okay, I planted these seeds and now like I'm looking at my harvest, and like abundance can be overwhelming to the system. Let's also say that just as much as surrendering can be for group one. I feel like this Ten of Staves is saying like you might see what you've been culminating, or spirit may reveal to you, your guides and your ancestors might reveal to you the breadth of what you've been cultivating, and you're gonna feel it. It's in the sense of like, I guess what's coming up for me is like, I don't know if y'all have ever had that experience of like something coming to fruition that you would have absolutely like never expected. And it's not that it's like, oh, it makes you small or that it brings up wounds of like what we deserve. But I'm like, I guess the felt sense is like this zing, this like creeping up the spine kind of like recognition that like, holy crap, what I have put and invested in was not only actually like worthwhile, but it's bearing fruit, and I'm benefiting from that fruit. And so that's pretty big. I do want to pull one more clarifying. Just kidding. There's already one here. It's the Ace of Staves to clarify the Ten of Staves, and we already did that. We read that. Spirit got us. So that's pretty dank. I guess what I'll say to kind of like weave this together in like one sentence. For group two, it seems like, oh, how do I want to say this? Seems like some of us in group two are kind of coming to recognition that, gosh, how do I want to say this? Well, before I weave it, let's read the oracle card, just so that we can kind of close the the divination part of this. The suspense. Okay. To rebalance forces. All right, balance forces represents yin and yang, productive flow, masculine and feminine energy, the balance of duality, the patriarchal paradigm being rebalanced, equality, a balance in perspective. Wow. Okay, I have to read this first paragraph. It says, the Lemurian people are said to have been androgynous, meaning they were not a specific gender. As they were only partially formed in the physical realm, they did not inhabit a paradigm of duality. They were a perfect balance of what became masculine and feminine energy as it densified in physical form. The divinatory meaning of this card invites you to look at the masculine and feminine energies from a more balanced perspective. Is the situation at hand on the more masculine side of the spectrum? Can it be tempered with feminine energy? Vice versa, with the addition of more masculine energy, bring balance. What needs to happen to form a more holistic and equalized foundation? Do you normally hold a position of one extreme? How might you balance this so you can experience a more optimized state of being to bring more masculine drive and focus to a situation? Focus on your goals, desires, and ambition. If you want to engage in more quote unquote feminine energy for receptivity, trust, flow, and surrender, consider all the things that you are grateful for already. Feel the warmth, gratitude, and comfort of knowing everything is divinely perfect the way it is. So this is kind of giving a little bit of breakthrough energy for group two. I'm getting called to like close my eyes as I like transmit, but I do get a sense that group two, you are those who resonate with group two, you are recognizing the sense of power that you have been called to like build up and resource yourself with in life, and it's created a sense of fulfillment. It has. But this month in particular, group two, it's almost like spirit wants you to know that the playing field, sort of, so to speak, around how you're used to moving in life, right, is going to change, and it's going to reflect the fruits of your own labor. It's going to reflect fiscal success. It's going to also reflect um, this virility that relates to kind of like falling in love with life all over again. And I think also this Five of Cups in reverse is really like, I'm really drawn to this because I feel like it's going to be the emotional fulfillment that you receive from the culmination of your own success, your hard work, and your effort is going to be the thing that actually helps you transmute this signature of the Five of Cups, right? These old cobwebs in your field that represent disappointment, that represent plans failing, that represent timelines that didn't fully come into fruition. And it's also being held up by like this path of Lakshmi, right? That the lesson, like the underlying lesson this month for you, group two, and those of y'all who resonate with group two, being how like how prosperity is created through hardship, which feels super contradictory, especially for like all the manifestation honeys. I know y'all gonna hate me right now, but I'm like, no, it actually does. It takes hard work. No, it actually does take dedication. No, it actually does take like cultivating shit every single day and showing up every single day. And I also feel like speaking to group two, I was watching something recently the other day on how like dedication, and this could totally be egregoric, right? But I was like, oh, I'm vibing with this. But the video was saying how like dedication, I guess in this particular sector that the person was talking about, speaks to them more. They were like a boss. They were like, I'm more interested in people who are dedicated than people who are, have all the right accolades, have all the right certifications, have all the right degrees, because somebody who's dedicated knows that what for them, right? Someone who's dedicated represents that the best thing that someone can do to reflect that they're committed to a goal, an outcome, is to show up every single day, right? And so it's interesting because it's like, yeah, I'm starting to also see how the Ace of Spades plays into this, right? Like this reminder for group two, like, do not let your ideas and your inspiration fall by the wayside, because they are the well of inspiration that you're tapped into now is actually like quote unquote like never ending. So it's like if you find yourself building and growing and it feels like it's too big, try to transmute that, because it's actually probably you feeling into like more coming down the pipeline, you know? So it's really interesting. Yeah, group two, I feel like very grounded, enlivening energies, very earth coded here, very earth and fire coded. Um, and also, yeah, this Ace of Cups to me also, I wanted to weave that in. I think represents this emotional containment that like contributes to the sense of success. And so it's like, yeah, for group two, spirit, like, yeah, wants you to know, like, keep doing your thing and also expect more. Like, go into the realms with open hands is kind of like what I get from this. Now I'm looking at the chat. Okay, I've opened my eyes. I've opened my eyes. Nadia says, "Oh yes, transmuting the overwhelm." Hmm. Yeah, and I get the sense with the Ten of Staves too. It's like having the resources to like actually transmute that overwhelm. Instead of just kind of like going into the next chapter or task or showing up, the next day just as overwhelmed. It's like, yeah, like group two. It's almost like the Ace of Cups here is like, what have you done to like fill your chalice so that the overwhelm of yesterday doesn't get carried into the potential of today. um Sorry, I don't even know how to read this. Nova says, me, it does feel, Hoda, try to transmute that. Have you tried some alchemy? Yes, Nadia says, I've been feeling into discipline a lot lately. Totally. Yeah, dude, I'm curious if you want to say how discipline has been showing up for you. Anna says, love this for y'all group too. Ashe, me too. Here in the chat, Nobu says, "My brothers in Christ, you do not have to restrict yourself to plaid button-ups. Revenge is mine. Thus saith the hologram." Oh my god. Ooh, earlier Anna said, "It's like giving up burdens." Ashe. Yep, absolutely. This gif of this dog drowning. Yo, down. I'm feeling really juiced for group 2. I really do. I love it for y'all. I'm like, is there any other? Nope, there's no more clarifiers for this one. Okay, group 2. I'm gonna put this to the side. Before I pull for group 3, I want to read what Nadia said on discipline. Um, Nadia says, feels like learning how to make it not feel like tense and forced, but also not going unconscious and limp. Ooh, that balance. Yeah, well said. All right, group 3, it's your time to shine. I'm curious, just a roll call. Like if you're group 1, type group 1 in the chat, and then if you're group 2, type group 2 in the chat. If you vibe with that, with the readings. I just kind of want to get a sense of where everyone's at. For group 3, I'm being called to pull the oracle card first, which is interesting. All right, rep your set, rep your set. Nobu says group 2. Nadi says, may I say both? Absolutely. I used to say that when I was a teacher and get under my students' skin. Absolutely. But yeah, that makes sense if it's both. Just gonna pull this oracle card before I get back to the chat. Shay. Oh, they called me Miss S, but not S, like the letter S. It was like ES. And then they used to like slither like snakes. They were weird, but I love them. Weird in like the most delightful way. Miss Bodies. Miss Bodies, Miss Bodies, I have a question. Can you imagine, yo? Yeah, sweet little buggers. All right. So group 3, I pulled an oracle card for y'all already. And I'm gonna pull cards from the Goddess Tarot to, yeah, let's get to group 3. Thank you, Spirit, so much. Culminating factors in this reading. Any wisdom to share with group 3. Motivating factors, breadcrumb, reflection, insight, support. Okay, group 3. Oh, interesting stuff. Ooh. Okay, group 3. Okay, group 3. All right. Work, 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 work. Yeah, work, 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 work. I don't know why that song is coming up, but I'm gonna share the cards that came up for group 3, and then we'll get into it. All right, so the first card, the oracle card that I pulled for group 3 is Gracious Receptivity. Okay, which order did I pull them in? Okay. Okay, I see. Okay, and then the first card that came out from the tarot deck is the King of Swords. Hold on, y'all. Oh, okay. Bear with me just a moment. Okay. So you have the King of Swords upright as the first tarot card for group 3. The next card is the World card, Gaia, in reverse for group 3. The next card for group 3 is the Nine of Swords. Interesting. I pulled more cards here. The next card here is the Queen of Swords in reverse. And then the final card for group 3 is the Two of Pentacles. And I'll share these with y'all, and then we'll get into the divining. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to read the Oracle card first, since that's the one I was called to pull first. Give y'all a chance to look at the cards and scry them. And go from there. 28, gracious receptivity. Excuse me. All right, gracious receptivity. Gracious receptivity, gratitude, being thankful, receptivity, giving without expectation, how worthiness and self-love can affect your capacity to receive and to give without depletion. Overflow, overflow, over obligation, thriving, over surviving. Ooh, and gifting economies. I'm going to read a little bit of this card. This is interesting. It says, if there was a manual for optimal human experience, one of the most potent points would be gratitude. It is the backbone of all spiritual practice. Like writing a list of the things you're grateful for has been scientifically proven to have profound positive effects on the mind and the nervous system. When we shift our perspective from what we are lacking, needing, and desiring, we temporarily replace the survival factor with the resonance for thriving. When we acknowledge the miracle of our existence and how far we have come despite the challenges, it can also bring back our inner smile. Gratitude can enliven an attitude of, quote, I've got this. The divinatory meaning of gracious receptivity as a card is, consider your relationship with gratitude, how comfortable you feel receiving, and what you give or what you love to give. Are there themes that allow you the joyous overflow of giving without limitation? And how can you add this to the lives of others more often, away from the fear that you will get, quote, used up if you give without guaranteed reciprocity? Are there areas where you are overextending yourself? Can you give more from the areas where you are stronger and have more skill and capacity? Right now, you may feel you have little to give, and if so, allow yourself to receive more. The gift of the sun on your face on a winter's day or a compliment from a stranger. Allow yourself to drink in every drop. After all, it is up to you how deeply you wish to drink the gift that is shared. Often we can take only a little sip, even when there's so much more we could appreciate, and yet it is beautiful when you give to someone and they light up and receive it fully. Gratitude, self-love, and self-worth are interwoven with the capacity to receive. Together, they nourish your soul. Step into your heart space by listing all the grateful things you are grateful for, and notice how you start to feel. Very interesting. Very interesting theme. I have no idea why I was called to read that first, but let's get into the rest of the cards. Yeah. So I'm going to read a bit on the King of Swords. Juicy. And so the swords suite here. The suit of swords, again, represents the path of Isis, and is represented by the elements of air and salt. And the king here reads, at home with his intellect, the King of Swords brings wisdom and clarity to any situation. He is the authority able to show in any plan what is needed and what can be cut away. The meaning of this card is the ability to bring calm authority to a situation, a helpful older man who won't sugarcoat his words, and it represents incisive intellect. Interesting. Okay. Now let's get into the World card in reverse. see where the world, which is represented by Gaia. Okay. The world card, Gaia. In ancient Greece, the earth was personified as Gaia, a goddess who existed before all life and created all life. The story of Gaia reminds us of the interconnection of all of the world and the importance of living in harmony with her resources. I'm going to read both the upright and the reverse for this card. So, upright, the world card represents experiencing connection with the universe, a sense of expansion and hope, an awareness of the fragile ecological balance, travel, and communications. And in reverse, it represents a desire for positive change through uncertainty on how to make it happen and fear of expansion. Ooh, interesting stuff, group 3. Yeah, okay. I'm starting to get a sense of what's coming up. And like kind of what group 3 is going to be working through, or could be working through for the month of August. So yeah, I'm going to keep going. But feel free, yeah, if y'all have any questions or reflections, please add it to the chat. And I'll get to it as soon as I'm done reading. So the next card is the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords. Nightmares torment the woman, leaving her no rest. These dreams are bringing up nagging worries that need to be examined and understood. The meaning of this card, upright, is insomnia, worries that keep one awake, an issue that needs to be looked at more closely. Only then will it be transformed, and a nagging anxiety. Ooh, interesting. Okay. Group 3, I'm starting to see yeah, definitely, Tiff. Absolutely, we can be in multiple groups. Okay, I'm starting to sense what's being woven for group 3. Starting to see the vibe. I'm also starting to see why I was singing work at the beginning too. But let's get into it. So we have the Queen of Swords in reverse as the next card. Brilliant and strong, the Queen of Swords rules over all aspects of intellectual understanding. This is the woman to consult when confused because her willingness to tell it like it is, even to the point of sometimes being a little harsh. The meaning of this card, upright, is an older woman who has these qualities: dazzling intellect and understanding, the ability to clarify through language. And in reversed, represents loss or wounds. For all her good intentions, her words can cut. Interesting. Yeah, I'm starting to understand. Okay, yeah. What's kind of like being refined, this interplay between like earth and like not earth, I'm sorry, air and like salt. Like I'm getting so many things right now, but I'm going to read the Two of Pentacles because it feels like, yeah, the Two of Pentacles feels like some sort of like also like resolution to this message. But yeah, let's get into it. And the Pentacles again represents the path of Lakshmi, representing earth and gold. And the Two of Pentacles here says, the woman juggles 2 pentacles, completely focused on her act. She does not drop the pentacles. This card, upright, means the ability to juggle several situations at once: jobs, opportunity, grace and bounty, commerce and expansion. Ashe. Okay. Yeah, this gift definitely looks like Anna. I'm mostly saying that because of the hair and like the style. Okay, group 3. This is super interesting because I'm going to kind of weave the gracious receptivity card into this a little later. But yeah, I guess what I'm kind of seeing as a thematic sort of the underpinnings of this month for group 3 is like this sense of balancing one's relationship with intellect, and how intellect they're it's so interesting because I feel like there's many things at play. So I'm going to speak about intellect first. So it feels like with the king and queen in reverse, there's a super interesting, I feel, interplay between these two, because it feels like there's something that the king can do that the queen can't. And as we read this, or they're representing, right, these polarities, maybe even within ourselves, that it's like maybe our more masculine edge can, for group three, maybe you might notice this month your more masculine side can kind of hold space and create containers, not only like for yourself, but through the act of like communicating with other people. um and then it feels like the Queen of Swords here in reverse represents how, mm, like maybe with, again, within our own internal polarities, there's an aspect of us that, yeah, kind of like what the divination says. And what I'm taking from that is like this um call, I would say, not necessarily a desire, a call to expand the way that this Queen of Swords signature within ourselves, right? Like that, like feminine intellect, um, delivers some of those not only messages, but I think um, it could have to do with like internal dialogue. It also could kind of do with like mindsets that are like super empowering in like particular contexts, but can be like kind of entrapping in other contexts. And so I guess what I mean by that is like the polarity between the king and the Queen of Swords here is kind of giving like the message that what you might see group three for August is like how some medicine works in particular arenas in a particular way, and how some of your other medicine or like delivery, right, can land in particular ways depending on the context, right? So for me, it's like coming to like balancing polarities for group three. And I think that to kind of further that point, what I'm weaving in is like this Nine of Swords, which represents, to me, this card usually represents, and is coming up right now as a card that represents like psychic protection for good measure. But again, I keep feeling this word like entrapment, and I don't mean that in like a negative way, but I think why it's coming up is because I think it's kind of, yeah, like it's almost like group three, you might see how like the shadow of intellect, or how like the shadow of intellect can take up space in our awareness um for the month of August. And then it also like, it's interesting because then it's like all these swords like pivot, right? And then we literally are working with the earth, and then like the personification of earth, like Gaia here. And Gaia being in reverse, I think represents, yeah, to me, what I'm getting is like this desire to expand and not quite knowing how. But however, in the month of August, for those who resonate with group three, um, it feels like for the month of August, you might see how the expansion that you're desiring is connected to, how do I want to say this? How does this want to be channeled? What's the best way that I can say this? Yeah, like this interplay between the Two of Pentacles, to me, represents, like, this card usually represents like the gift, I should say. I don't know why I want to say it like that, like the gift of nuance, and how like nuance can actually help us sort of start to embody more of these like multidimensional aspects of ourselves, start to integrate these different aspects of ourselves, to where like our intellect becomes married to our intuition, becomes married to our inspiration, becomes married to our sense of grounding. And I think that the Two of Pentacles represents this dynamic interplay between air and earth itself, and how like neither one is probably ever stagnant in that exchange. That it feels like the Two of Pentacles is speaking to how dynamism, and I would even say like the Rihanna card feels really relevant for this for this group as well, even though I didn't pull her. But it's like, yeah, like there's something for group three in the month of August, that like the way that I'm even moving right now, y'all, like I'm moving my body like a wave, where it's like, okay, like this ebb and flow, and kind of like understanding energy exchange at a more like deeper level. And one thing I do recall from like the Gaia card in reverse, or just the Gaia card in general, it spoke to like commerce and like the reality of Earth as a marketplace. And what I mean by that is like how, um, yeah, like we're in relationship with everything from my perspective and from my lineage's perspective. And I feel like for group three, there's going to probably be opportunities this month, and just like portals, right, that open up, that help you see like and recognize the interconnectedness of things. And yeah, I kind of get the sense that it's going to culminate in like an internal, like a recognition of how balancing, how do I want to say this? Coming through right now. I guess what's coming through is, yeah, like just this recognition of energy exchange, how to like add to the flow of life. To add to the flow of life, you have to like kind of be an active participant in life. And so, yeah, I guess also another thing that's coming up for group 3 is like, do not underestimate the the power of um, do not underestimate the power of like a network. Is what's coming up for me right now. And I think with the Gaia card in reverse, this one's really speaking to me because this is about another thing that feels important to say is like group 3, you might recognize how like you your relationship to not only just like yourself, but your sense of self um is incumbent on how interconnected um you feel with different aspects in life. And so yeah, it's like, yeah, the spirit is like being very clear that it's like, don't underestimate the present moment, don't underestimate what you bring to the table, do not underestimate your gifts, your skills. Unless you do underestimate them, put them to work so that you can stop taking them for granted. Feels like really important to say here. um yeah, anything else for it for group 3? Mhm. I'm reading the chat now. Mhm. I'm just laughing at the gifts. Mm. Nadia says, the Nine of Swords also feels to me a bit like not losing sleep over the way words may be cutting, and you move through and kind of continue to build that self trust. Yeah, good question. Like the words of others or the words of yourself to yourself? Or you the words that you speak to others? I don't know. But yeah, I would love more clarity on that. Is there anything else for group 3? No, but this solar plexus chakra is like screaming at me right now. Nadia says, "Oh, the words that are spoken to others." Ashe, thank you. So the Nine of Swords also. I'm gonna reread that with the context. Feels to me like not losing sleep over the wave. Absolutely. Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because it feels like the Nine of Swords is like, don't lose sleep over it, but like refine it. You know? No, no, no. That's totally fine. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, the context is super important as well. Don't lose sleep over it. A shame. Yeah, that feels like important to say. I guess that's like the solar plexus card is literally like beaming itself into my third eye. So should I read it for group 3? It feels important. Um, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read a little bit of it because it's just at the bottom of the deck, looking at me with the clear crystal quartz, and I just feel like it's like read me. Okay. All right, the solar plexus chakra. This is in the Lumeria, Beyond Lumeria oracle cards. The solar plexus chakra represents radiant illumination, personal power, independence, self-discipline, confidence, assertiveness, decision making, belief, intellectual abilities, expression of will, and bringing ideas into reality. How to restore this chakra? Peace, Nova. Remember that you are a powerful being who can connect with potent life force energy. Um, and when you need it. Be aware of what fuels your fire and consider circumstances where you had your where you gave your power away. Imagine all of the fragments of your energy that you have given away at some point and bring them all back to you, all back to the center of your being. The themes of this card: your power and where you're putting your energy, the healing position, the navel, and then the color wash is golden yellow. So it feels like that's like a little hat tip for um yeah, possible like energetic practice that those who resonate with group 3 can do. Um yeah, and I definitely feel like I resonate with group 3 as well because I've been called to also do like hatha cultivation breaths, like breathing in a way that like focuses on my like solar plexus and then like releases that focus. So kind of playing with polarities is like my sense, which definitely relates, I think, to the Two of Pentacle cards as well. Um, so yeah, y'all, this was amazing. Okay, I want to hear like, yeah, which group, who's feeling group 3? I definitely feel like part of group 3 and part of group 2. Like parts of my vibe honestly feel connected to all three, but yeah, I'm curious. This is so sweet. Oh yeah, good question. Yeah, I think Lexi was the only person who I haven't heard from. Or maybe she did say something earlier. Lexi said all three. Oh shit. Yeah, dude, I'm super curious to see how this month like flows forth for us. And for those who are here and those who listen asynchronously. I do want to encourage y'all to. I haven't made the thread yet, so I'm going to talk about something that I haven't done, but I will do it and I'll tag y'all in it. I'm going to create a thread where I would love to hear from y'all periodically or just like whenever you want to on how this month has been going for you and also like which group, yeah, like if the messages like showed up or if it's like, missed the mark. Either way, I feel like it's really good for me to know. Um, Yeah, this month is really interesting. Oh yes, there is also like Lionsgate coming up soon. So yeah, I am looking forward to seeing what these timelines are giving. But thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you all for listening asynchronously. Again, if you'd like to join the pot or be part of the broom for future containers, links to become a member, to make a donation, or to inquire about becoming a member are going to be in the episode details below. And I just hope everybody has a lovely Leo/Virgo season. Yeah, enjoy it, y'all. Peace out.